Tonight, several breaking stories as we come on the air. The chaos in the air, a major radar and communications outage causing chaos at two major airports. Air traffic controllers unable to communicate with each other.
We've lost all radar and phone communication.
Pilots forced to relay messages through a plane that did have contact, and you'll hear it. More than 1,000 flights canceled or delayed. Tonight, the chilling images, the urgent search for a 2-year-old boy swept away while in a car with his father amid horrific storms. Tonight, major news when it comes to getting the COVID vaccine this fall, the vote just today, and the major change tonight, suggesting people should decide for themselves. The government will not be making recommendations from the CDC, and there is reaction already coming in tonight. Late today in the Oval Office, President Trump was asked about his FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, who put pressure on some ABC stations to preempt Jimmy Kimmel. Republican Ted Cruz comparing that pressure to that of a mafia boss. What the president is now saying about this tonight. Also developing at this hour, police late today say a gunman opening fire on KXTV, an ABC affiliate in Sacramento, California. Authorities now searching for a suspect tonight. This evening, there's news on the man who became unresponsive while riding a roller coaster at Universal's Epic Universe in Orlando. Tonight, the Grammy-winning songwriter killed in a plane crash. The alarming close call, a driver nearly hitting a young boy crossing the street trying to get on the school bus. The bus's red lights flashing. And the remarkable lesson tonight, the father and his sons, the AAA mechanic who taught everyone who is our person of the week.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Friday night. We do begin tonight with the chaos in the air for a time, the alarming moments for pilots flying passenger planes when suddenly air traffic controllers were unable to communicate with each other. A major radar and communications outage causing chaos at two of the nation's busiest airports. Air traffic controllers at Dallas Love Field and Dallas Fort Worth International unable to communicate with each other. Both airports forced to order ground stops. More than 1,000 flights canceled or delayed, not to mention the flights trying to land during all this. Pilots forced to relay messages with controllers because those controllers were unable to talk with each other. Whit Johnson leading us off tonight.
Tonight, chaos at two of the nation's busiest airports after a major radar and communications outage. More than 1,000 flights canceled or delayed.
We've lost all radar and phone communication.
Air traffic controllers at Dallas Love Field and Dallas Fort Worth International losing the ability to communicate with each other, causing ground stops.
I'm not departing anybody until we can get a system set up. We have no comms with the approach right now.
Listen, as a Southwest pilot in the air and still able to reach the tower, passed along a message between air traffic controllers who could not communicate.
An approach wanted to pass on to you to stop all departures. They can't get a hold of you. They're having some comm issues, I guess.
Yeah, I think the entire message functions went down, but thank you. We get a hold of somebody.
Tonight, the FAA saying it was not their equipment that caused the outage, instead blaming a local telephone company equipment issue.
They're doing construction here at the airport. This happened a couple days ago where somebody cut a line and we lost everything.
And David, the issues are expected to last through the evening. The FAA says it's investigating and working with that local telephone company to determine the cause. David.
Whit Johnson on the breaking news tonight. Whit, thank you. We move to these chilling images tonight. The urgent search at this hour for a 2-year-old boy swept away while in the car with his father amid horrific storms from California to New Mexico. Melissa Adan on the scene.
This was the moment floodwaters swept away a 2-year-old and his father after rains inundated Southern California. Authorities in Barstow in a desperate search for 2-year-old Xavier Padilla Aguilera. The toddler was in this white sedan with his father, Brandon. His father was rescued. Late today, officials announcing they found the boy's body. Up to 2 inches an hour falling in spots in Oak Glen. Denise Romo could only watch from her home as a mudslide surged past her.
Oh my God. I opened my kitchen window, and when I opened my kitchen window, I just see the first wave of mud, and it already had trees and mailboxes, a bunch of debris.
North of there in Forest Falls, mud almost as high as the front loaders, furiously scooping it up. Some residents climbing over boulders and logs to get home. Entire neighborhoods buried in mud. KABC's Scott Reif over the scene at daybreak.
A wall of mud came flowing down, and you could see as many as 8 homes were damaged. Some may have been destroyed. They may not be repairable.
Homeowner Eileen Hay telling me it's happened before.
It was pretty scary because I know we've had some bad floods and people have died.
The monsoon rain supercharged by remnants of Tropical Storm Mario, and it wasn't just Southern California. Floodwaters tearing through the town of Ruidoso, New Mexico. Recent wildfires have stripped the landscape of vegetation, leaving nothing to stop the torrents of water. And David, flood watches remain in effect for areas with burn scars like Ruidoso, New Mexico, and parts of Central California through tonight. David?
Melissa, thank you. Next tonight here, major news when it comes to getting the COVID vaccine this fall. The vote just today. And there's been a major change tonight. The panel now suggesting the CDC will no longer make a recommendation for Americans when it comes to the COVID shot, whether to get it. And of course, it comes amid confusion with a series of changes now when it comes to vaccine recommendations. Steve Osunsami at the CDC in Atlanta again tonight.
For the first time since the coronavirus brought this country to a standstill and killed more than 1 million people, U.S. health officials tonight are encouraging all Americans to decide for themselves whether they need a COVID shot or not. The old recommendations are no longer.
We have a vote, 12 yes, so it is passed.
The decision came late today in Atlanta from the CDC advisory panel while protesters lined the street outside.
What we're seeing here is when you convert from gold standard science to conspiracy-based decision-making, that's bad for the people of America.
The new panel was handpicked by current Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy and has been accused of choosing vaccine skepticism over science. In a move that will bring some relief to many of their critics, they also voted down a recommendation that would have started requiring prescriptions for COVID vaccines. Dr. Jason Goldman didn't get a vote, was in the room, and wasn't pleased.
There's a big difference between saying we recommend versus get it if you want. So these vaccines are safe and effective, and they should be recommended strongly, especially for those most vulnerable patients.
The new changes to COVID and childhood vaccine guidelines are coming just as Americans are starting to get vaccinated before the winter. This mother of 2 school-aged children in Miami says it's hard to trust what's coming out of the CDC when there's so much noise everywhere else.
I'm as confused as ever. I don't know what to believe.
Now that there's no longer a formal recommendation for who should be getting the COVID vaccine, there are concerns about the vaccine's availability. The federal government tonight is saying that their programs will still pay for them and that private insurers will cover these vaccines for at least another year. David.
And we'll, of course, stay on this to try to clarify it all for our viewers. Steve Osunsami. Steve, thank you. Now to the news developing at this hour. Police late today say a gunman opening fire on KXTV, an ABC affiliate in Sacramento, California. Authorities at this hour now searching for a suspect. Here's our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman.
Tonight, shots fired at KXTV ABC 10, the ABC affiliate in Sacramento, California. This video, taken outside the station, shows what appeared to be 3 bullet holes in a window. Police racing to the scene at about 1:30 local this afternoon. Radio traffic warning law enforcement to be on alert.
Attention all divisions and outside agencies. Broadcast for officer safety on an armed vehicle. Fired 3 times into a building at Broadway and 5th Street 25 ago.
Police say a vehicle pulled up by the station building. An occupant opened fire, striking the lobby window. The vehicle then took off. Reports say at least one person was in the lobby. Station staff were in the building at the time.
It should never be accepted that somebody's going to drive by any type of business, let alone a media partner, and shoot at the building.
Police say they're working to obtain a vehicle description and determine a motive, saying, fortunately, that nobody was hurt.
To those that may have been responsible for this, I hope you see this, we're not going to stop looking for you. This is unacceptable behavior. It's not going to be tolerated in Sacramento.
And David, a short time ago, the parent company of that Sacramento station, Tegna, sending us a statement saying, we are fully cooperating with law enforcement and have taken additional measures to ensure the continued safety of our employees. David.
Matt Gutman tonight. Matt, thank you. Now to the scene late today in the Oval Office. President Trump was asked about his FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, who put pressure on some ABC stations to preempt Jimmy Kimmel. Republican Ted Cruz now comparing Carr's pressure on stations to that of a mafia boss. John Carl asking the president about that late today.
Tonight, the Trump administration is under fire from Democrats and some Republicans, too, over their efforts to clamp down on free speech. One top Republican senator comparing the Federal Communications Chairman Brendan Carr to a mafia boss. Carr sparked a backlash after pressuring ABC stations to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live after comments Kimmel made about the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Disney ABC then announced Kimmel's show was suspended indefinitely. Tonight, Republican Senator Ted Cruz comparing the FCC chairman's threat to a scene out of Goodfellas.
He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Cruz called what the FCC chairman did dangerous.
I think it is unbelievably dangerous for government to put itself in the position of saying, we're going to decide what speech we like and what we don't, and we're going to threaten to take you off air if we don't like what you're saying.
Tonight, I asked the president about that. Ted Cruz compared Brendan Carr to a mob boss, the way he's threatening television stations and saying it's absolutely dangerous for the government to determine which speech is okay and which is not. What's your reaction to Ted Cruz?
I think Brendan Carr is an incredible American patriot with courage.
The president suggested that FCC Chairman Carr could go further yesterday, suggesting that Carr could potentially take away the broadcast licenses from television stations who President Trump says repeatedly criticize him. David?
John Carl tonight. John, thank you. There's news tonight about the deadly crash of an Army Black Hawk helicopter in Washington state. Military officials now say 4 soldiers on board the chopper were killed when it went down near Joint Base Lewis McChord. The helicopter was on a routine training mission. The soldiers part of an elite team performing nighttime missions. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Overseas tonight, tensions escalating among NATO's eastern allies bordering Russia. 3 Russian fighter jets are now accused of violating Estonia's airspace, flying for about 12 minutes over NATO territory. NATO scrambling jets to intercept. More than 20 Russian drones flew into Polish airspace earlier this month. Several were shot down. NATO tonight accusing Russia of reckless behavior. Tonight, sources telling ABC News President Trump is expected to oust the top federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Virginia. The president reportedly upset that that prosecutor could not find evidence to bring criminal charges against one of the president's biggest adversaries, New York's Attorney General. And late today, that prosecutor now says he's resigning. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, in an extraordinary move, sources tell ABC News President Trump is ousting a top federal prosecutor because he was unable to find enough evidence to charge one of Trump's political opponents with a crime. Eric Siebert, Trump's hand-picked U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, spent 5 months investigating New York Attorney General Letitia James, who brought a $500 million civil fraud case against Trump and his family.
It looks to me like she's very guilty of something.
Federal prosecutors dug into properties James owns in Virginia and interviewed 15 people looking for evidence she committed mortgage fraud, but they came up empty. Trump said today he wanted Siebert out because his nomination was supported by Democrats, but sources say the administration is looking to replace him with someone who will more aggressively go after James. Our John Carl pressing the president.
So you want him fired? You want him out?
Yeah, I want him out, yeah.
Tonight, an attorney for James calling it a brazen attack on the rule of law, saying firing people until he finds someone who will bend the law to carry out his revenge has been the president's pattern, and it is illegal. And we've just learned, David, that Siebert informed employees he resigned before Trump could fire him, upending one of the premier prosecutors' offices in the country that handles terrorism and espionage cases as the president pursues political rivals. David?
Aaron Katursky tonight. Aaron, thank you. This evening, a federal judge in Florida dealing a scathing blow to President Trump, tossing out his $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. The judge calling the 85-page complaint decidedly improper, repetitive, and filled with self-praise. President Trump accusing the Times of disparaging his reputation. The judge giving his lawyers 28 days to refile their complaint in a, quote, professional and dignified manner, in his words. When we come back here tonight, there are new details coming in about the man who became unresponsive on a roller coaster in Orlando, what the medical examiner is now revealing tonight about that person on the ride. Also, we have learned tonight a Grammy-winning songwriter has been killed in a plane crash. You'll know so many of his songs. What we've learned about this in a moment. Tonight, there are new details emerging about the man who became unresponsive while riding a roller coaster at Universal Epic Universe in Orlando. The medical examiner ruling Kevin Zavala suffered multiple blunt impact injuries on the Stardust Racers ride. One witness saying it appeared something was wrong with the ride.
There was a big piece of metal from the seat that was detached. There was families in there yelling, screaming, crying.
Zavala's girlfriend telling the sheriff's office that Zavala had a pre-existing spinal injury. Universal released a statement saying they are cooperating with the investigation into Zavala's death. Tonight, a very close call for a boy getting on the school bus when a car almost hit him in Massachusetts. You can see the boy crossing the street, trying to get to the bus when a car races by there. Authorities say coming dangerously close to the boy. The stop sign on the bus was fully extended. Police in Hadley, Massachusetts, trying to track down that driver and reminding everyone to follow the signs on those buses. Tonight, the discovery of human remains, possibly ending the hunt for a man accused of killing his own 3 young daughters. Investigators say they have found the remains believed to be of Travis Decker in the mountains of Washington State. Decker is accused of killing 5-year-old Olivia, 8-year-old Evelyn, 9-year-old Peyton. The sisters were found suffocated after a visit with Decker back in June. When we come back on the broadcast tonight, the Grammy-winning songwriter we have learned has been killed in a plane crash. He worked with so many famous singers, you'll know the songs. And then a spectacular display tonight, the Humpback whales making a splash and surprising one group of kayakers. To the Index, the music world mourning the death of Grammy-winning songwriter Whit James tonight. James penned hundreds of country music hits, including Carrie Underwood's Jesus Take the Wheel. He also wrote for Martina McBride, Jason Aldean. He wrote Kenny Chesney's Out Last Night. Whit James died in a plane crash with 2 others in Franklin, North Carolina on Thursday. Whit James was just 57 years old. The singer, known as David, canceling U.S. tour dates amid the intensifying investigation into the death of a 15-year-old girl. The singer's team scrapping remaining shows that were slated for California. Several shows in Europe also appear to be canceled. This all coming just days after the body of Celeste Rivas was found in a car that police say was registered to that singer. Tonight, new calls for airlines to get more passengers to leave behind carry-on items during emergencies. The FAA issuing a safety alert now, urging air carriers to update evacuation protocols and messaging. The agency saying carry-on bags could put lives at risk and damage exit slides. The new alert coming after recent emergency evacuations raised safety concerns because passengers were grabbing their things. The spectacular display tonight, Humpback whales putting on a stunning show for kayakers in Costa Rica. The kayakers out for an excursion when a humpback whale and its calf rise out of the water and splash back down right there. The whales breaching several times. That's incredible. Just a few feet away, the kayakers catching the whale spectacle on their phones. And of course, that sighting leaving them in awe, and us too. When we come back here tonight, the remarkable lesson, the father and his sons, their car breaks down. But what happens when the mechanic arrives? The boys couldn't believe it. Who is our person of the week? Finally tonight here, the father out for a ride with his boys when the car breaks down. It doesn't sound remarkable, but when the mechanic arrives, it turns into a lesson for all. Who is our person of the week? Tonight, so many of us have been there before. Your car breaks down, but what happens next to this family is truly remarkable. In Oakland, Florida, just outside Orlando, Dad Casey Kaz was driving with his sons when the car battery died. Dad called AAA, and mechanic Mike Law immediately came to the rescue. Those boys, 4-year-old Coden, 3-year-old Kylo, were curious about how the technician was going to fix their car. So that mechanic put them to work.
Got him in there?
Putting on the gloves, teaching them how to change a battery.
Got it. Look at there.
And Dad documenting the whole thing. Mike from AAA handing them the ratchet.
To this one, okay? Can't drop it.
And can I get a hand? Thank you, man. Thank you.
Installing the new battery. The boys watching as their car now works again. Fist bumps and high fives. Then Dad sharing the moment, a valuable lesson online where it's now gone viral tonight. And Mike, the AAA mechanic, commenting on the post, writing, "I was just as excited as the boys were to help, knowing it's something they'll carry with them just as I will. Thank you for a memory that I will always treasure." And right here tonight,
hi, David.
That dad and his sons, grateful for that lesson and grateful their car is working again.
Shout out to Mike because he is the most genuine person, so good with the kids, and I think people are thirsty to see those who are genuine and caring and take time to be patient and kind to someone else.
You are absolutely right. And so we choose that mechanic Mike and those young mechanics too, Coden and Kylo. They won't soon forget it. I'm David Muir. I'll see you right back here on Monday. Good night.
David Muir,
the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.